to a new season, a new show called Groom Cave, presented by Black Fly on the Wall Productions. Groom Cave is all about how groomed you are as a man internally and externally. But on this particular segment, Polished Flavors, it's all about how polished you are internally and externally. So I have some wonderful guests today. I got my boy Brian, I got my boy David, Executive Bourbon Steward, and we also have a special collaboration here with Uncle Nearest, highlighting the essence of Uncle Nearest. And Brian, introduce yourself.
Brian Okoye, from Raleigh, North Carolina, based in Charlotte. I'm in the event production world, do experiential marketing, all about internal and external grooming.
There you go,
Yes,
there
sir.
you go. And David, introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Originally from Georgia, Macon, Georgia. Live in Charlotte now. I am a executive bourbon steward. I represent Uncle Nearest Whiskey through the Nassau Agency. And the other part of my life, I play with money a little bit.
Nice, nice. Now, David, we have Uncle Nearest here. Explain what we got going on right here.
So we have 3 expressions of the 7 brands that are 7 bottles that are available now. 4 of them only available at the distillery, the Nearest Green Distillery in Shelbyville, Tennessee. Nice. But the 3 bottles that we have in front of us are available all through North Carolina in the ABC stores. We've got the 84, the 56, and the straight rye whiskey, and they are delicious.
Absolutely.
Prime examples of Tennessee whiskey.
Nice. Now, how polished you are is all about how polished you are internally and externally. And I would say that one of the main things I like about Uncle Nearest is not only the branding, but also the story. So the story is all about intention. It's all about the essence of who we are, our trials and tribulations throughout time. And I think that relates to me a lot too, especially with Black Fly on the Wall, going through the journey. I read a quote this morning that said, the journey of 1,000 steps starts with step 1. So it's all about initiating the process of growth, initiating the process of going after your dreams, going after your manifestations, and then tailoring those manifestations to who you are as a man. And I think one of the biggest compliments, or one of the things I like about myself, is one of the things that makes me well polished internally is just my overall confidence, right? So walking with confidence, leading with confidence, and even if you don't all have it all figured out, right, and we never will, but it's all about having that level of confidence that will allow you to present yourself in that particular way. Brian, what's one of the characteristics you would say about yourself that makes you well polished internally?
Yeah, for sure. I think kind of touching on what you said, confidence, right? And I think that's all based off of preparation. I believe in constant self-improvement and being able to adapt to different situations. I think that really allows you to grow, right? Being able to embrace new experiences, that really allows you to adapt to those situations and navigate life. For me, that's, what
Absolutely.
I believe internally.
I love it. David, what about yourself before we get into these lovely spirits here?
Well, I'd piggyback on both of you. I think the confidence, the thing that really makes a man polished is his confidence and knowing what he's going for, what the goal is that inspires him. Because as you said, life happens, as you implied rather. Life happens, you get these ups and downs, these inflection points, but we can talk about that later. We have to make a decision. Will it keep you down? Will you get up? How fast will you get up? All that, all those life happenings have happened in the world of whiskey. So we can get into that too when we tell the Uncle Nearest story.
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's get started, Dave. What are we starting with today?
So today we're going to start with the end in mind, right? With the 1884. The 2 bottles in the Uncle Nearest range are named after years. There's a 3rd bottle that is not available on the market right yet. It's the 1820. But the 2 bottles that are available on the market right now are the 1884 and the 1856. All the years are significant in the Uncle Nearest story. So with the end in mind, in 1884, Jack Daniel and Uncle Nearest have been working together for several years making whiskey in Lincoln County, Tennessee. They've been doing a great job. Jack, his given name is Jasper, found another stream, another creek, another spring down the road from where they had originally been making whiskey at the Dan Call Farm. He wanted to move the distillery operation from the Dan Call Farm to where the Jack Daniel Distillery sits now in Lynchburg, Tennessee. Uncle Nearest had been at the Dan Call Farm for decades and did not want to leave. So in 1884, Jack Daniels moved the distillery to where it is now, and Uncle Nearest retired. The bottle that we're going to sip now, the 1884, is 93 proof whiskey. It is my opinion. If it were wine, it'd be Chardonnay.
Okay.
It has a very nice, subtle flavor. You gotta sit back and pay attention to. So with that said, let's get into the mechanics of how you taste it, right?
Let's do it.
Polished, right? So first thing you know, pick up your glass. Then you're gonna nose each side of your nostril, right? You're gonna pick up on different scents. The reason you're using both sides of your nostril is because you wanna engage your olfactory senses. If you can't taste it, you can't smell it, and at any given time, one of your nostrils or more may be occluded. You're picking up different scents. So we're nosing first. What do you smell?
I smell a little bit of cedar.
Yeah, I was about to say the same.
Yeah. What's the scent of the wooden bar? So this is a very artistic experience. Yeah. Next time you taste this, you may get a different scent.
Cinnamon?
But cedar, cinnamon, I get that too.
With a nutmeg. I got a little bit of brown sugar too.
A little citrus.
A little citrus. Okay, all right. Next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna sip it. Some people like to start out by taking a look at it. I don't know that there's any credence in looking at legs or anything like that, or the color or opaqueness of a liquid. But so next thing we're gonna sip. You're gonna take a small sip. You wanna let it flow over your tongue, just a small one.
Okay.
And see what that physically feels like and what major flavors you pick up.
Very smooth.
We'll get in. We'll deep dive into smooth. Let it finish.
A little bit of, on the back end, molasses almost.
Okay. What did it feel like? Did it open you up? Was it hot, warm, cool?
Warm.
Was it both? Start out cool, warm you up.
Definitely warm me up, yeah.
Warm me up, a little cool on the back end.
Okay.
Yeah, but didn't have like a big bite to it.
Okay. Your soft upper palate. What's going on there? What sensations are you getting there?
Slight sting.
Okay.
It's pretty chill for me.
First sip of the day. Hang with us. It won't sting after a couple
Bring
of
me in
sips.
real
Yeah.
All right. I didn't take as much either.
Second sip. You're gonna sip and chew a little bit.
I feel like it's more volume now.
What do you think, Brian?
I agree.
My opinion again, the longer the finish of a whiskey, whether I like it or not, indicates to me that it's built well. Why do I say that? Built well for pairing.
And how would you define finish?
It's like the perfume or cologne a person leaves in the room. So it's the effervescence of the experience.
The sillage.
I was gonna say, because it kind of just sits with you, you know.
Right. So in a pairing, if you're going to be following this up with a dessert or or food, how do you mingle those flavors? If you have a short, vapid finish, then that's great for drinking, not necessarily well built for pairing. I think this bottle is very well built for pairing.
And I mean that analogy that you gave about the perfume or the cologne is that's that sillage that you leave in a room. Like, wow, that smells good. Or whenever you walking past somebody after a business meeting or something like that, and they be like, wow, what's that cologne you're wearing? You know, that's that aroma that it leaves, that your trail almost. And I feel like that's what I experienced with the 84. After chewing it, it's like it leaves that great taste in your mouth, and it's very synonymous. So I think too, even speaking about grooming, like how we build our cologne portfolio started off like, we was, teenagers, we hose ourselves down. Maybe you started off with Axe, you know what I mean? That's usually what everybody starts off with, and you be like, man, yeah, man, you walk past somebody and knock you
Praying
out.
for roaches, yeah.
Then you build your portfolio out. You start learning about eau de parfums and how the concentration is higher, and those are the things that stay on you. And as we get into the segments in the future, like that's one thing I like about the grooming part about life and about being well polished too, externally, is the colognes that you incorporate and how those colognes represent you. So if you got something that has a little spice to it, that kind of almost tells how you feeling, how you feeling in that evening. Or if you have on the tobacco Venet from Tom Ford, you may put that on when you wear a tuxedo late at night in the evening time. So it kind of represents who you are and the mode you in. What would you say your go-to cologne is?
So right now, keep the Versace with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one?
It's the Eau de Parfum.
Okay.
Yeah. And I think that you can kind of, pair it with different experiences, right? If you're going out or if you're also going to a spot like this, right? That's more relaxed, more laid back, like a cigar lounge. I really like that. It has a really nice smell to it. Yeah.
David, you going out to have a nice glass of Uncle Nearest here. What you putting on?
Well, if I'm going out to a cigar bar, I probably won't wear any cologne or anything. But
It don't matter anyway, right?
just bathe in coconut oil when you get home. By the way, coconut oil, swishing your mouth with coconut oil after smoking removes that taste from your mouth.
Did not know. Did not know. Okay. My wife will love that.
Just get a teaspoon of coconut oil and swish your mouth for about 10 minutes, and it'll pull those flavors and shit out of your mouth. Yeah. But the cologne I wear, I switch between a few, but blue is a cologne.
Good one. Sure. All right, let's move to 1856.
So we were talking about being polished and different points in life. In 1856, this is another moment of gravitas in the Uncle Nearest story. Jasper Daniel, Jack, and Uncle Nearest are working together at the Dan Call farm, and together they perfect something called the Lincoln County process. There are several definitions that go into what bourbon is, and what whiskey is, and then bourbon's a subset of that, and Tennessee whiskey is a subset of bourbon. It is in fact bourbon. The Lincoln County process removes some of the fatty acids and other chemical compounds to change up the flavor and scent just a little bit. Enough though to where this is distinctly different, yet the same as bourbon. That Lincoln County process, the genesis of it is that Uncle Nearest's West African parents taught him in order to clean water, you had to filter it through sugar maple charcoal. I had an opportunity to be at the farm earlier this year, and there are tons of sugar maple trees, oak trees, that still around, that still grow around the farm. In fact, the original stream that Uncle Nearest made his whiskey from is still running. I drank from it.
Wow. Had to.
Right, you're there, right? And so I'm a boy, yeah, sure, why not? And a lot of the ladies, actually everyone did, all the ladies drank from it too, but there were no dead animals or anything near the creek, so we're fine. They are tracking us though, to make sure we don't die. Anyway, but together, these two men, instead of filtering the water through the sugar maple charcoal, they began filtering the whiskey, the finished, or the pre-finished product through sugar maple charcoal. And that is the thing that makes the Lincoln County process, what these two men perfected together. Nice. And that's what makes Tennessee whiskey a subset of bourbon.
Nice.
That happened in 1856. Nice. Now this is a 100 proof bourbon that we're about to try.
Personally, my favorite.
Yeah, oh, is that right?
1856 is my favorite.
A lot of people say that.
Yes,
a lot of people say that.
Personally.
I always begin with it is indeed 100 proof bourbon. It's not bottle and bond. If you have any emotional or mental issues, this bottle will take care of them for the night.
For the night.
Your problems will still be there in the morning.
But you always can find a bottle of Uncle Nearest 56 if they can help you out.
But if you want to walk with it slow, it's a great sipping whiskey. And I recommend let's follow the same process we used a moment ago. You nose it, you taste it a couple times, and then you pay attention to the finish. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers to kith and kin, friends and family.
Yes, sir. Small sip. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Almost to me has a sweeter taste than
Yes.
in
I'm
1884.
That's the corn.
the more of a honey undertone is like what I taste, and it's definitely a lot more elevated than the 84.
Yeah.
So I feel like, based on your mood, you can go with either one of these. Like sometimes I love to put on Bond Number 9. Sometimes I like to put on Creed. It just depends on what I'm doing.
Right.
And I kind of look at these as they're synonymous, and there's a lot of synergy with how you manage your colognes. It's going to be how you, based on what bottle you pull out.
Yeah.
I love it.
What do you think about the finish on these? On this bottle.
I feel like the finish is shorter than the 84.
Okay. I agree.
Yeah,
a lot smoother.
Yeah, I feel like
as well.
I feel like it's the smoothness is there, and I feel like the smoothness is synonymous with how short the finish is, which makes me want to continue to sip versus taking, like, sometimes whenever I sip which proof is the highest?
100.
So the 56 is 100. I feel like with the 84, it's like I take maybe longer gaps in between my sips.
Good.
Versus with the 56, I'm more so sipping it a lot more consistently.
Your rocking chair moves back and forth a little bit slower than with the 84.
Yeah, yeah,
With the 56, you might rock it a little faster.
for sure. I like it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love the 56 for a lot of different reasons. Many of the same with what you just said. I think both of these are very well built and suited for cocktails. Tons of cocktail options on the Uncle Near's website. So if you want to make a cocktail with these,
So what would you do? What cocktail would you make with the 56?
And I love a Manhattan.
Okay.
It's simple, straightforward, and when it's balanced, it is one of the most elegant, simple drinks around.
We got to do that today.
Yeah.
All right, nice.
Yeah. Whiskey, vermouth, bitters, shake it, serve it up. It's great.
I love it.
The 256 right now is my favorite.
Is that right?
Yeah.
It's a heavy hitter, man. It's a heavy hitter. It's a good bottle.
Good stuff.
And then so as we transition to the rye, I'm thinking more so about what makes us polished internally, right? And I think for me, one of the biggest things I like to stand on is integrity, right? So it's like, as a man, it's like if you can really master that principle or that characteristic of being a man of integrity in all the walks of life and the things that you do, that'll make you well polished. What's something else that makes you well polished internally?
I think, to touch on integrity is just really just self-knowledge for me. I have a Nigerian background, come from Nigerian roots, and for me, like, knowing where I come from has definitely instilled a lot in my hard work, kind of what I want for my future as well. And I think that is important. Knowing who you are and where you're going can definitely be a major factor into kind of how you're polished internally.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. And as we transition to the rye, introduce this nice bottle to us there.
Well, yeah, I want to tell a little story about truth in advertising. You've heard of this in marketing before, right? Yeah. Well, it comes from the whiskey world. Prior to whiskey being sold in bottles, there's a couple of competing ideas about who actually began selling whiskey in bottles first, between the Old Forester. You've heard of those folks before, Old Forester brand. There's another one called the Greenbrier Distillery. Okay. They have a story. Both organizations tout that they first put whiskey in bottles. Prior to whiskey being in bottles, it was sold in a barrel. And in that barrel, some nefarious folks would put other stuff than whiskey in the barrel. They would put formaldehyde and tobacco juice and all kind of weird stuff in there. Stuff that Ned would never sell at Little House on the Prairie. He would never sell that stuff, right? Because he wanted his customers to get the good stuff. So the story goes of the Old Forester Distillery that the pharmacist, Dr. Forester, with 2 R's, wanted to make sure that his clients knew what they were getting. He was a pharmacist, and he had a license to sell whiskey during the time of Prohibition. So he began selling whiskey in clear glass bottles so that you knew exactly what you got.
Okay.
Uncle Near's follows that tradition. Most whiskey providers do. There's some bottles out there that are opaque or clear or not clear at all. But in that vein, these bottles are all sold in clear. All the whiskey sold in clear bottles. The straight rye whiskey is a grain grown in Canada, not in Kentucky, because at that latitude in Kentucky, or even in Tennessee, rye doesn't grow very well.
Okay.
So in the straight rye bottle, the grain is grown in Canada. It's made in Canada, shipped across the lake, and it is stored in New York about 3 years or so.
Okay.
After that time period, is then shipped over to Tennessee to be finished in ex-Uncle Nearest barrels. And the end product we get is a 100 proof, 100% rye grain. There's no corn, there's no barley,
Wow.
There's no wheat in this bottle.
Okay.
It is all rye,
Okay.
100 proof. And I think it's one of the most fabulous, different tasting ryes on the market.
This is my wife's favorite.
All right.
Yeah, so let's do it.
Cheers. Get this.
Cheers. You can smell the difference. So smooth, man. And it's a different, just a different vibe, man. It's a different vibe. It's like if you want something different, something unique, this is it.
What do you think about the finish on that?
Longer.
Longer, but still smooth.
Longer, still smooth, but longer than the 56, so it's up there with the 84 as far as it's staying around. See, chewing it. Shorter after you chew it versus with the 84 stayed around a little bit longer. So I would say that it's a lot more shorter gaps as far as the sipping.
How about physical sensations? Get anything in your
Warm.
tongue, your lips?
No.
Definitely feel it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little tingle.
Pepper?
Tingling. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, a little pepper, right.
Yeah. One of the hallmarks of rye whiskey.
No. Now, all great selections. I think all of these bottles from the 1884, 56 and the rye all represent kind of like almost like a trajectory and essence of man, right? And a black man. As you go through and you have these different changes about yourself, you develop new characteristics. You develop new characteristics physically, you develop new characteristics internally, and you should be developing these things as you grow.
Right.
So I think I encourage all listeners and everybody that's tapped into themselves is to continue to work on yourself. Like you talked about self-knowledge. We talked about the journey of Uncle Nearest and starting off with 1884 and going back and how intention is built into the brand.
Absolutely.
Everything from the labeling to the bottling, intention is built into the brand, and as men, we must remain intentional.
I agree.
So let's cheers. Choose whichever one you want. Let's cheers it up. You went for the 56, huh? 56.
Okay.
You want to rye? You want to rye? All right. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Wonderful.
Good stuff. Thank you, gentlemen.